Hey guys, how are you? I am sorry, I am just a little bit late. I have some exciting news for all of you, so I am late for a reason. So I'm going to wait for a few minutes for you guys to hop on, and then we will get started with today's live. Pulling up my phone so I can see when you guys ask questions, just like we did the other day. Hello, hello. When you hop on, make sure to post who you are, where you're from. I'm logging onto Facebook so I can make sure I see all of your posts that you guys post. So tell me where you're from. Where are you listening in from? All right, so today we are going to be talking about saying thank you in your IEP. This is something that really works. It's a tactic that you can use just in life, really. So I'm excited to talk about it. So my name is Raven Woods. I am the CEO and founder of Healthy Life and Oz, of Autism Mama Rocks the IEP. And I'm really excited to be on with you guys today. So we're going to first talk about why you have to say thank you and why this is so important in an IEP. And you're probably asking yourself, okay, I say thank you, I'm appreciative, how is this going to help me in the IEP? Well, it does help you in the IEP. So when I teach and educate people to go into their IEP and really rock it, it's run in probably a different way than you're used to. So when I teach people to go into the IEP, you want to dress accordingly. You want to wear your churchy clothes, business kind of attire, and you want to walk in there with purpose, okay? And when you see everybody at the table, I don't know how your IEPs are. I'm going to talk about mine, but they're typical to each other. They're kind of the same, across the board, but you have different people there. But you're going to learn who you need to have there. And if you go watch my video on who you should have at your IEP, those are the people you should have at your IEP. Always the executive director of special education, or they're called the director of special services. They're called different things across the board. You also can have the assistant director, but those people are your decision makers. So you have to have them there. So you can have the principal, but guess what? The principal can't wait. This is how many decisions the principal can make, okay? They are basically the boss of the teachers. They hire, fire teachers, but they cannot make special education decisions. So anyway, when you go into your IEP meeting and you're getting ready to sit around the table and say you have the occupational therapist there, the principal there, maybe you have the counselor there, or you have, the special education teacher, you have the teacher there. So what you're going to want to say is, hi, how are you? And you're going to have a seat. And then I always explain what my purpose is. So I'll say, I'm here today because I really want to go over my daughter's goals. And that is what is important to me today, because I don't have IEPs yearly. I have them, as I've told you guys, quarterly. So normally we're going over goals or any changes that need to be made. A lot of times, because I have a lot of experience in this, sometimes I'll just put in amendments. Hey, how are you? So one thing that you want to make sure that you do is explain why you brought everybody to the table. Okay, because you don't want to just have your yearly IEP. Do not do that anymore. From today forward, no more yearly IEPs, or they're called annual IEPs. You want to have them at least quarterly, so the goals are cut down to a smaller amount, so they're more attainable for your child, and it allows you to stay on top of them. So if they are not being mastered, you're on top of it right away, versus a year has gone by and you're just now finding out that your child hasn't mastered something, or they said they mastered something and they really didn't. So you want to be able to go into that IEP meeting quarterly and then as needed. Don't ever be told or allow yourself to be told that you can't have an IEP less than yearly, that you have to just go yearly. That's not the case. All you have to do is put it in writing that you're requesting an IEP and they have to meet with you within 30-day period. That's law. Okay, so you go in and you talk to everybody and you say, hi, how are you, Miss Smith? It's so nice to see you. Today, everybody, I want you to know that I'm here to specifically talk about goals, and I appreciate you all being here today. How I'm going to do this is I'm going to talk to the person I least need to talk to first, and then we're going to work our way around the table. So you run that meeting like you own it, okay? This is your child. You're the expert. You're running that meeting. They do not run the meeting unless you kind of step back and don't really know how to initiate it. So I'm going to teach you that, okay? Julie says, should we have them when the progress report comes out? My son's is quarterly. I always do an IEP quarterly. That's what I was just saying, is quarterly is the key because you can stay on top of goals. And you don't want goals to get pushed aside because you're now meeting every year. That's too much for a child anyway. Think about us in everyday life, right? We go through life and we have goals and things that we're trying to do or things that we want to happen. We don't give ourselves a year normally, Smart people have goals that are attainable. Okay, I want to lose 5 pounds in 4 months or 3 months, and give yourself time to make that goal, and you win. And then it's a win-win, right? You gave yourself the time, you were able to make it, but it was in a smaller period of time versus saying, okay, I'm going to lose 20 pounds in a year, and then it just kind of gets frustrating. You want to make goals attainable for your child. And then you also have the purpose of making it to where you're on top of them with the school, okay? So hopefully that answered your question, Julie. All right, so let's go back to the table. All right, so you've said hi to everybody. You can bring food. I don't bring food anymore because I have no interest in doing that anymore. But I'm going to teach you guys differently than I do now. I've done this for 12 plus years, and I want you guys to learn the right way, okay? So when you go in, bring some food. Bring something you made, okay? Because if they eat something that you personally made, they open up. Their body opens up. They're more open to what you have to say. And people relax if you think about it when they start eating. Okay, it's very difficult to eat when you're tight and tense. So when people eat, they relax and they're able to have their shoulders open wide. And when people are open, then they're open to hear what you have to say. So bring food, dress accordingly. And then the next thing you want to do is tell them, let them know ahead of time. I'm very big on letting them know what you're going to do next. So you're going to say, I'm going to start off with PE, or I have my daughter's in PE and then she's on adaptive PE. So that's who I'd speak with the least. So I'll say, I'm going to start off with PE and then I'm going to move on to dance therapy, and then I'm going to move on to occupational therapy and so on and so forth. And I'm going to speak with the person who I speak with the least all the way to the person I need to speak with the most. And then the first thing I say to who I'm speaking with first is, Miss Smith, and just say that I'm coming in there and I got a big problem, right? We're going to have to discuss this. But the first thing I say is, Miss Smith, I just wanted to thank you, not just for being here, but working with my daughter and really helping her with tying her shoes and helping her ride the bike and helping her, just name like 3 things that you're appreciative of. Whatever that is, it has to pertain to your child, okay? And we all can find the good in people. So if you go into that meeting and you're prepared, okay, and you are dressed accordingly, you've made your mark when you went in and sat at the table and said, hey, I'm here to discuss goals and I'm really excited to be here and work as a team to really get my son or daughter what they need and what's appropriate and their goals to be attainable. And you want to make sure that their goals are are work for them as well, that the school system isn't having what's called low expectations. Okay, they need to have the same high expectations they have for typical children for your children. Okay, they can't think differently. Now you're able to look at the impact of disability on which they can obtain and attain those goals, but they can't look at your child with having lower expectations just because they have a disability. Okay, so then you move on to the next person and you talk to them and you thank them for being there and you thank them for 3 separate things so that you can put them basically in a relaxed state so that they are more open to what you have to say. And I'm telling you, this so works. And it's an amazing process that I do. And ever since I've done it, I have gotten a lot of amazing results. I have had success with it. My IEPs have been a lot less stressful, and people are appreciative of being appreciated. And you could be as mad can be at a particular therapist or teacher, but if you can stay positive and keep your emotions at bay and be able to look at the good in people and say thank you for 3 separate things, and it may not be exactly with your child and working with your child, everybody can find 3 things to be thankful for or to say thank you to somebody for, especially when they are working with your child. So it could be thank you for working with my child, even though you may not like them, okay? Because you want to put everybody at that table at ease and relaxed a little bit so they're open to hearing what you have to say. Communication is huge when it comes to the IEPs, and many of us tend to get very anxiety driven and very worked up before we even walk into that meeting. I know I do. It's completely normal. Put a 1 below if you get nervous and anxiety starts to come about when you're getting ready for an IEP, when you're driving to the IEP, when you arrive at the IEP. You just have this tense thing about you. That's men, women, caregivers, whoever. So you really want to focus on breathing and keeping your emotions pushed aside. Yeah. And you want to make sure that you have yourself in check. Okay. It is very important to make sure you have yourself in check and that you're in control of you. It's okay to get angry. It's okay to be somewhat abrasive in your words and in your delivery of something if you are not happy. But you never want to get to the point of extremely belligerent or rude. I'm not saying that's never going to happen. I'm saying that you want to try to not do that, because if you're effective in your communication, you're going to be able to deliver it without being nasty. Okay, you can be very direct, you can be very to the point, no BS type person, but you can leave nastiness aside. I'm not saying that doesn't happen. I'm not saying I've never done it. I definitely have. But it didn't always pan out the way I wanted it to. There were times where I had to take a step back. There were times where I had to apologize. There were times where it just didn't work in my favor because everybody was put on alert when I got nasty, you know? But if I stayed assertive and I stayed concrete in what I had to say, but I wasn't rude, I got a lot further with them, you know, because people have to be open to be able to listen. If they're not open, they're not hearing a word you're saying. So that is very important. So you want to be focused on what you want, but you want to be also focused and mindful of your delivery, okay? And I'll tell you, that is the biggest thing that I have to work on. I am horrible at delivery. People say, Raven, you know, it's not what you're saying, it's how you're saying it. Have you ever been told that? So it's a very big thing to work on for me, a huge thing that I have to work on. But I want you to not have those issues. So try to keep your emotions at bay, try to stay calm, and try to be very focused on what you're there for. And if you answer the questions that I have put out for you to ask yourself before you go into an IEP, you're going to be prepared and ready. So Jacqueline says, getting ready for my daughter's IEP in a few weeks. What is the best way to go into it with a clear mind? Being prepared. So the more prepared you are, if you if you fail to prepare, you prepare to fail, and that's the worst feeling. So your mind's not going to be clear unless you're fully prepared. So that would be probably number one for me, to be quite honest. One thing that I'm super excited about that I just got out, that's why I was late, is I finally have my vault out. My educational vault is out there on my website. I will put the link down for you. But if you go to Autism Mama Rocks the IEP and you click on Educational Vault, everything is there now. I am so excited. So you have 8 email templates that I got together for you. You have the evaluation and IEE guide that I put together for you. You have the 5 laws, the most important laws, and how to implement them right now. Plus, I did a video. It's a long video on how to implement these laws and literally implement them into your IEP right now. It's amazing. I am so freaking excited about it. So go to Autism Mama Rocks the IEP, go to the Educational Vault, click it, and it will take you to everything that I have been working on. You guys asked what I was working on. So I made 8 email templates for you, and I made a individual education plan, and I made a evaluation and IEE guide for you, and I made the 5 laws, and I made a huge program for you with that. I am so freaking excited. You guys have been asking for that, so it is out. It's out now, guys. So go grab it for the next 7 days for the rest of the month. The 5 laws is half off. And if you want the email templates and the evaluations along with the IEE guide, that's half off too. So if you get the bundles, it's half off. It's awesome. I'm just so freaking excited about it, and I think it's going to offer you guys a ton of value. I know you guys loved my checklist that I gave out to you guys, and I'm thrilled to have the 5 laws out to you. The thing about the 5 laws that I want to talk to you about is in these 5 laws, I was just telling a lady today that I had a 2-hour consult with, is in these 5 laws, you literally need to use them in most of your IEPs. You need to have a discussion about them, and they're a huge, basically they're everything you need to be able to deliver properly what's needed for your child and how to implement it, and the backbone of what you're arguing. So almost everything that you argue in an IEP, these 5 laws back it up. It doesn't matter what it is. These 5 laws will back up almost anything that you fight for your child. That's why they're so amazing. And then I give you the number 1 statute that's of utmost importance that you must know, okay? And like I said, it's half off through the 31st of this month. And then the email templates. You guys asked for email templates. I have 8 of them for you. I have a miscellaneous one that's super cool because it has various different requests and things that I'm asking for. And then I have documentation of certain things that you want put into their response. I have one on requesting IEPs. I have one about requesting evaluations, because you can't just say, hey, can you give my child an evaluation? Doesn't work like that. So they can argue that. You have to have precise wording to be able to get an effective response back in a timely manner. You know, one of the ladies posted this morning, she said, well, in my state, it's, you know, IDEA says 60 days to get an evaluation, but then in my state, it looks like it's going to take longer. Well, the reason it can take longer is because how long is the school system going to make you wait until they get you that consent? That's the key thing. So when I ask for the evaluation and I'm requesting an evaluation or a reevaluation, you need to make sure that how you word that is accurate so that they then respond to you in a timely manner. Okay, so that's what the evaluation one's about. And the email one's amazing too. It goes through, I guess I was talking about requesting an evaluation. It also goes through all types of requests that you would make. It goes through if you disagree with something they've done. It goes through how you would thank somebody, but you have a but, how to do that appropriately. Everything that you are requesting or looking for or arguing, that sort of thing is in the email templates that I wanted to get out to you. So I am super excited about that. Bring a bullet list. It's helpful to not get so flustered. It's very overwhelming with all the people there. Yes, Brandy said to bring a bullet list. Yeah, I love bringing a bullet list, and I think it's very important to have a bullet list, and even make sure you record all your IEPs so that you can go back and re-listen to them, and if you have any questions, you want to be able to do that before you sign an IEP. Again, never sign an IEP in the IEP meeting, okay? So I am done. So I will do some questions and answers. Today was short and sweet. It was basically just go in and thank people. Get them off them feeling kind of, on edge about you and what's going to happen, and get them wanting to help you. Get them at ease, basically. And the more you can get them at ease, the more they're opened up to hearing exactly what you have to say. And then to top it off, when you say thank you for working with my child, you may not like this person. You may actually have serious beef to have to say to this person. However, if you start off with a thank you, they're not going to be as agitated with you having an issue that you need to discuss. Okay, because this is your child. If there's an issue, you have to discuss it. But when you put someone at ease and you relax them, then they're more open to talking to you. Okay, so there was a situation that I told some of you about the reading specialist and my daughter, which I'm still in an issue with. My daughter's now going to a 4-hour evaluation, an outside evaluation, an IEE. So that we can see where she is and what needs to happen. And we're even talking about ESY and her going to a reading camp and so forth. However, when I addressed that reading specialist, the first thing I said to her is thank you for working with Skylar. I appreciate how you've worked with her, because she was kind. She just wasn't highly qualified. That was the problem. So I had serious issues with this woman. However, I still started my conversation out with, thank you, I appreciate you working with Skylar, and I appreciate what you have done for her. Because you can always appreciate something about everybody, okay? So does anybody have questions? I know the other night on Tuesday, it was crazy. We were on for an hour and a half with tons of questions. So it was very fun and crazy, and we had a good time, so. Julie, I appreciate your help and your questions. And Brandy, thank you so much. You're absolutely right about that bullet list. The one thing I will say, though, about a bullet list is because you're nervous, sometimes a bullet list may not be effective because you're looking at a brief synopsis of what you're really wanting to talk about, and being nervous, you may forget all of that, if that makes sense. So sometimes what I'll do is I'll go into detail. So I'll put a bullet of a topic, that I want to talk about reading, and then I'll say, I'll write a sentence of 3 things that I need to talk about, and I'll write that sentence out, which leads me to that discussion. Does that make sense? Versus just kind of a bullet of, 1 word. Then, I've done this where, there's many IEPs that I've gone into, and I've written a bullet list. Sometimes I don't even look at it after I've written a bullet list because I get so nervous sometimes. So if I have something written out for myself, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I'm talking about reading, and then 3 things that I need to discuss. I'm talking about occupational therapy and my daughter writing better and tying her shoes and so forth. Then I'll write OT, and then 1, 2, 3 of the things that I need to directly talk about, and then move forward, in a list of things that I need to do. So not only is there that bullet of I'm talking about this subject, but then there's 3 different things underneath it of, oh yeah, I needed to talk to her about Skylar tying her shoes. Or, oh yeah, I need to talk to her about, the handwriting and how Sky holds her pencil, and, why does she still have to have the lines, all these types of questions that I want to ask, because I always ask a lot of questions. We talked about the other day on Tuesday, always answer a question that they ask you with a question. It's a smart way to discuss things with them, and you gain knowledge from asking questions. So if they ask you a question, respond to it with a question, so then you get in return information back. I hope that makes sense. So Carla said, my son had recent outside evaluation, but I haven't received the report yet. Do I provide the school a copy of the report? Okay, so you went to an outside evaluation and you haven't received the report. Call them and ask them. Typically, if you go to an outside evaluation, they will get you the report back within 7 days. And they normally will tell you. So I would call them and just follow up and find out when you're going to get the report. I wouldn't worry about that too much unless it's been over 10 days. But typically it's a 7-day period that they say they'll get it to you. And I've even asked for things in a rush, and I've gotten them, in a rush, but typically it's 7 days. Do you provide the school with a copy? No. You can show them, but why would you give them the copy? Is there something that's going to benefit them that they need the copy? Because if they see it, I'm not a fan, as you guys know, of handing over anything to the school system. Why? You don't have to. It's not going to change what you get for your child. It's not going to change the services that they are able to get if they qualify. So if you get an outside, you got to go get my evaluation form. So go to my website, okay, and click on the educational vault. Everything is there now. The evaluation whole guide is there along with IEE information. I answer every one of your questions with it. I go into detail on what an evaluation is. How do you get one? Once the evaluation comes back from the school, how does that work? Is the school system's evaluations, are they in-depth and detailed? What do you need to make sure that the school is evaluating? How do you look at the tests? What do the tests mean? How do you look at test scores? What does all this stuff mean when you're looking at it and understanding, the bell curve and all these different things? It's like foreign language to a lot of us parents. But you have to understand that in evaluation so that you can fight for what you want for your child. And if you don't understand tests and measurements and evaluations and how they're done and what to ask for, and evaluations are so in-depth that to get your child exactly what's needed and appropriate for them and everything that they deserve, you have to understand an evaluation. You have to understand how you get one. And then, should you just get one from the school? No, you should always get an outside evaluation, which is called an IEE, an individual education evaluation. And it's on whatever you want it to be on. It can be on speech, it can be on reading, it can be on occupational therapy, it can be psychological evaluation. And I talk about what's the difference between a full and comprehensive evaluation to what just a narrow evaluation is. Which one do you ask for and why? So go to my vault, get the evaluation and IEE guide, and that will help you, Carla, with everything that you literally need to know. But as far as the copy to the school, no, don't give them anything. You show them, you have to show them. So in the evaluation, I definitely talk about you always want to get both. You want the school to do an evaluation and you want to get an evaluation so you can compare the two. And you just always, this is one thing I tell you in my guide, is you always, always, always want to ask the school system what their qualifications are in an evaluator. You, the parent, have every right to choose who you go to. However, the school system has rules and regulations and qualifications in which they will approve of that outside evaluator. So it's typically not many rules. It's usually they just have to be qualified in that area of expertise. But you want to ask the school this in writing. Have them respond back to you in writing of what their qualifications is. Because if you go to an outside evaluation and you get an evaluation and you have this amazing write-up and you have this amazing evaluation, the school could be like, oh, well, we don't take that. And you're like, what? You know, so you don't want to be in that place. You want to make sure that they said to you, the person just needs to be a licensed occupational therapist, a licensed psychologist to do a psychological evaluation, whatever it may be. It's usually they have to be licensed and specialized in that area of expertise. That's usually all it is. But you want to get that in writing from them so they can never, ever come back to you and say, which the school system will do, they'll come back to you and say, oh, well, we don't approve of that evaluator. And you're kind of shit out of luck, to be quite honest. So because you didn't get in writing from them what their qualifications were in an evaluator. Okay, so you have a right to go who do you want and who you want to go to, but make sure you get that in writing so they can never come back with that. So in the vault is everything about evaluations and IEEs. It's also the 8 email templates and the 5 laws plus the #1 statute you all need to know. Everything's half off until the 31st. I'm so excited about it. It's what you guys have been asking for. We did a whole poll on it. So I'm excited. I gave you everything you asked for. And what's funny is the things that I thought were cool, you guys didn't think were cool. So I did everything that you guys asked for. And if you have any questions or want to know anything else, please let me know. My goal is to deliver to you guys what it is you need and what you want to learn more of. And that's just really important to me. So I made sure to put that out there for you. And I know a lot of you were like, well, what do I put in this email? One lady wrote me today and she said, you know, I'm writing this email and I'm not really sure what to say. How do you say it? Because wording is everything in an email. A lot of times the school system won't respond back because you didn't word something appropriately, you know? And there's certain words that just give that email an oomph that I gave you guys in the templates. So I'm excited about that because the templates, I have to say, they're pretty good. You know, I'm not, I wouldn't say an aggressor, but I'm definitely one that I say what I mean and I mean what I say. And I don't take it back. I'm sorry if I hurt your feelings, but this isn't about you. This is about my child, and feelings are put aside, you know, and that's how I feel and that's how I talk in emails. Because you have to put feelings aside. I love that book, Emotions to Advocacy, because it's so important to not put your emotions into what you're doing and advocating for your child. It's just, it gets in the way. And anytime you have emotions involved, it kind of brings out a lot of negativity, and you don't want that. So if you keep emotions at bay, then you'll be a lot more smoother in your delivery and a lot more to the point. And this is what I want. This is what I need. This is what's appropriate for my child. And this is why I want it. You want to be very direct. You want to keep things clear. And in your emails, you know, I even teach you how to tell your story. People love stories and they'll read that. People don't want to read a whole bunch of emotions. I feel this. I feel like you did that. I feel that you're being unfair to my child. You want to leave all of that out. You want to be very direct and to the point and state facts. Okay? All right. So you're welcome, Carla. He was evaluated by the school first, but I didn't agree with the diagnosis. Well, the school didn't diagnose him, right? They evaluated him and they were able to find out where he was struggling, right? But the school doesn't diagnose, they evaluate. So if you're still on here, I'd love to hear what you have to say about that. Now, a doctor can diagnose, but the school cannot diagnose. They simply evaluate, that's it. and qualify your child based off the evaluation. And if you don't agree with what they said, then you can go and get an IEE. Or I always tell parents, do it at the same time, kill two birds with one stone and make it easier on yourself. So while they're doing the evaluation, you're going to get an evaluation. They typically come in at the same time and it works a lot smoother. Then you're able to have one meeting right about the same time that both evaluations are finished, and it makes it a lot smoother process because it's already a long process. You know, just like someone posted this morning, it's a 60 to 65 day wait. You know, they have 60 to 65 days in which to not only evaluate, come to a conclusion of what they have evaluated, and then deliver it to you. So when the evaluation is done, they have 10 days in which to get it to you. So hopefully that answered your question. Hi, Michelle. So Julie says, does progress reports my son's quarterly? Yeah, I think I answered that question already. So how are you guys doing today? Any other questions? I know tonight's been kind of slow, huh? Like I didn't have a whole lot. I kind of left it at a topic that I thought would be important, but I didn't want, you know, I know a lot of my lives are like an hour. So I wanted to keep it short and sweet with y'all, but you know what? It's something you should definitely take advantage of in learning this way to communicate in an IEP, because it's really effective, really effective. So it's honestly, it's effective in relationships too. So just starting it off with something positive to say. All right. And if any of you guys are on the group or not on the group, make sure you hop over and join the group too. Hi, Rachel, I see you. I don't like that the school gives their opinion of suspected disability in the IEP. They actually shouldn't. They're not allowed to do that. The school system is not allowed to diagnose. Now, they can say something like, we believe it looks something like this or that, but they're not supposed to do that. They should say things like, you know, we noticed that your child's having a lot of difficulty in this. In the evaluation, we saw that your child really struggled doing this, you know, so they're able to see based off of documentation of the evaluation in where your child is lacking and having difficulty. And that can be behavior as well. A lot of people struggle with, how do I ask for a behavior evaluation? You know, there is such a thing. Your child could need special education because behavior impacts their ability to learn. And if a child has a difficulty learning in any capacity because of any reason, that could be behavioral. A lot of children with ADD or ADHD have behavior issues because they have trouble sitting down, they have trouble staying still, they have trouble focusing. I posted something on my personal page today, like, I'm queen of procrastination, you know? So children who have ADD and ADHD, you know, there's videos out there that are really cool that you're kind of hearing the sound of what's going on in their world and all the filter that's going in and why they're not able to stay still and stay in their seats, able to watch a movie, and, you know, everything that's going on in their world and their bodies. And it's really interesting. It makes you take a step back and to really understand what it is that they're going through. The same thing with autism. What they hear so much more than we do, that if you or I were to hear all that, it would make us crazy as well. You know, so not that our kids are crazy, but, you know, it would make us really overwhelmed. And, you know, which is why children with autism have a lot of overwhelm, and they have a lot of focus issues and stimulation issues because they have so much coming in a different way than we do. So what happens after the first IEP meeting? Nothing. No, just kidding. So Jacqueline says, what happens after the first IEP meeting? Well, it depends on what the IEP meeting was about. It depends on what you discussed. It depends on how you guys agreed or didn't agree. It depends on who ran the meeting too. Did you run the meeting or did they? So it really depends. You know, you can ask me and be more specific, but typically after an IEP meeting, I'll just give you an example. If I go into an IEP meeting, I have a reason. So every 4 months, I go into an IEP meeting to evaluate my daughter's goals. One of those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8. So I have 3 meetings a year, unless there's a reason that I need to have another meeting. But typically, because I have the experience, I'll just do an amendment. So 3 times a year, I go into an IEP. One of those 3 times is a annual, but I let them pick whichever one they want. I don't care. So one of them is an annual. The other 2 are to review goals, are to discuss any issues that weren't of emergency that I need to discuss them right now. And so I literally have them send me goals, and I go through them with a fine-tooth comb, and then I remake the goals. You know, but I'm also an educator. I used to teach, and I've worked with kids for over 18 years. So I understand how to do goals, and I understand what needs to be there, and I also understand what my child is able to do and is able to work towards. So the more you know these types of things, the more you're able to talk about them, argue them, and put these goals in and argue the fact of why they need to be put in. But really, it depends on what your purpose of the meeting was. Did you ask for something? Did you ask for a one-on-one? Did you ask for a BIP or a FBA to be done? What is it that you went into that IEP for? And then I could tell you what happens after the meeting. Typically after the meeting, you take the IEP, you look it over, you agree or you don't agree, you highlight it, you ask questions, you email them. On page 26, I saw that you wrote da-da-da-da. I don't agree with that. This is how I feel that it needs to look. This, you know, and if you can't agree via email and they change it, then okay, we need to go back to the meeting and have another meeting. And I immediately will write another email, and they have to meet with you within the next 30 days. And you keep doing that over and over and over and over until that IEP is exactly how you want it. You never sign it unless you 100% agree. Look at it like you're signing a document that's going to the judge, and you better be telling the truth. It better be right, right? So if you sign something and you shouldn't, we have repercussions. Believe me, I know. So you want to make sure that that document is accurate. And if it's not, then don't sign it. If it's not something that you want for your child and they say, well, this is all we can offer, don't believe that. That's not true. That's not true. That's their way of coercing you into signing it. Don't be like that. Don't be that mom that signs the IEP because the school system just says, oh, well, that's all we can do. So I'm sorry, this is all we can offer at this time. Some people have said, well, we don't have that type of therapist, so that's not something we can offer. Well, if your child needs that therapist and they don't offer that therapist, then guess what? They have to hire someone on the outside to come into the school system to teach your child. I have outside therapists come in with my daughter. So you can get outside therapists. If your child needs it in the school system, then the school system has to provide it. So if the school system does not have a specific reading specialist that's highly qualified and extensively trained, I keep saying reading because that's an issue I'm going through right now. So a highly qualified, extensively trained reading specialist in autism with children with behavior issues, then they can't teach my child. They're not qualified enough. So you want to make sure that these types of things are in your IEP. Every bit of that wording. Leave no wording out. None at all. So and then as you look at your IEPs, we'll have to go through that sometime on a call. But if you look at your IEPs, okay, and you go through it, and I tell people take like 4 days because my IEP is 36 pages. So I don't know about yours. Write down how many pages is your IEP. Post it for me. I'm curious because mine's 36 pages and it takes me a while to go through it because I start seeing stars. So I have to go through it slowly and then I highlight, and I'm not able to think if I go through the whole thing. So I got to go through it like 5 pages by 5 pages by 5 pages so I can think properly. So understand that when you look at your IEP, make sure that you're highlighting things. What does that word mean? Google it. What does that word mean? You know, or, you know, if something says, I should get my IEP. Hang on one second. All right, don't laugh at me, okay? This is my IEP book. Oh yeah, this is it. All right, so this is Evaluations, Consents, IEPs 2016 to present, VIPs, FBAs, and goals. All right, that's what it looks like. Yeah, it's heavy. All right, so, but I have binders. See, I went back to high school. I got my binders. And so I have everything lined out. Okay, now let me show you. Okay, someone said, who was it? Brandy, was it you who said something about bullet lists? Okay, so somebody said something about bullet. This is what I do. IEP concerns and questions. See how I write it out? So I write it out in detail. I number it, and then I write it out, see, OT, and then what I'm requesting. PT, which is physical therapy, and I request what I want to request. So I'll just read one of these to you. Number 4, I even said glasses. All right, so I do things that just are on my mind that I know I need to discuss, and then I start checking them off. So glasses, what did I really want to talk about when I said glasses in my IEP? I wanted to make sure that when she's reading, that she's wearing her glasses. When she's doing her schoolwork, that she's wearing her glasses. I also wanted put into her daily worksheet, which by the way, you guys are getting for free. I'm gonna let you know when it's out. So her daily worksheet that comes home every day that you guys should have for your kids. So that's why I'm giving it to you for free, because you're gonna print it out and you're gonna send it to your school and you're gonna say, I want one of these every day, because it's awesome. And it's so detailed. It's so cool. It's so cool. So glasses, there's a checkbox on her daily sheet that comes home every day. And guess what? They have to check that when she went to school, she had her glasses. When she left school, she had her glasses. That's how detailed I am, okay? So here, I put number 6. I put safety, all right? So I knew these are my IEP questions and concerns for those of you who are just now popping on. I don't do bullet lists as much as I do. I go into detail of what I'm talking about, and then I check it off. And let's look at this one. So reading, I went through reading, concerns, more concerns. I went over things that I want to change, science, and then I went through her services and how I wanted them changed. So Skylar gets, she gets occupational therapy twice a week for 2 hours. She gets speech 2 times a week for an hour. She gets dance therapy 2 times a week for 45 minutes. She gets physical therapy 1 time a week for 60 minutes. She gets reading with a qualified reading specialist for every day, 5 days a week for 1 hour. She gets ABA therapy at school, okay, for 5 hours a week with daily living, because she's now 14, so this is something I recently added. And then she gets 10 hours of ABA therapy after school. So she's taken from school to the ABA therapist, and they do 2 hours every day after school. So when you go into your IEP, have one of these IEP concerns, questions, and things that you want. So I put things that I want on the second page, and then you're able to go through and check it all off. And you know if they're talking and you're looking at your sheet, you know that you still have to come back to this sheet. And when you walk into that IEP meeting, you say, I have to go through all of this. So no matter what anybody says or talks about, I need to make sure that this is gone through. So I just wanted to let you know ahead of time. So make sure you get one of these and put all your stuff in there. I did a video with how you get organized to make sure you guys stay organized. Humanity First says, and I want to get him one-on-one services. How do you do that? I request an IEP meeting for my autistic child because he was bullying at school. You requested an IEP because he was bullying at school, like there was behavior issues? Is that what you're asking? Rachel says 22 pages for my oldest, and he has had one for 2.5 years, and he is 5.5. 22 pages, that's good for 5. That's amazing. And keep adding to it. Oh, Brandy, I was telling everybody on here, I know you wanted to know too, the 8 email, go to my website at Autism Mama Rocks the IEP. I'll put it on the right underneath here where all the comments are. Go to the educational vault. I now have the 5 laws plus the #1 statute out, along with my video. It's an hour and 26-minute video that I go through all 5 laws in detail. And I go through it to the point where you guys are going to comprehend it, because it's laws. I mean, we're talking statute type laws, the top 5 that literally you're going to get for half off till the 31st. But let me tell you something. I go through every single one of those 5 laws in such in depth in this hour-and-a-half video that's added to the 5 laws that you get, because they're laws. They're written in law and that type of language. So I literally make it to where it's spoken in normal English that we can understand, okay? Because I can't tell you how many times I've written and read law books, and I didn't understand anything until Pete Wright and others taught me how to understand it and dissect it. And it's awesome, okay? It's awesome. So these top 5 laws, you can literally, once I've explained it to you, you can literally say, okay, my son Adam has a lot of issues with behavior in school. There's laws on that in the top 5 of how you can argue what is needed and appropriate for your child. In the top 5 laws is all about your rights too. What are your rights and your child's rights on how you can make that be implemented in your IEP? Then you have your top 8 email templates. You have your IEE and your evaluation guide. It's awesome. I'm just excited. And I wanted to tell you about that, Rachel, because I know you've asked about it. So does anybody else have more questions? Humanity First, you want a one-on-one. How do you go about that? Okay, so a one-on-one can be very difficult to get. Very difficult to get. So it depends on what your child's needs are. So your child, you're saying that, yeah, your child's bullying. So that's behavior issues. The first thing you need to do is an FBA, okay? You need to find out, why is my child bullying? Why is my child having these behavioral issues? Does your child have a diagnosis? I'm talking to Humanity First. Does your child have a diagnosis and a disability? And if so, is the bullying because of the disability? Okay, so ask yourself that. Is he bullying because of something within his disability is causing him to act out? Then you need to also find out, as a mom, okay, watch your child and find out what is triggering your son. What is triggering him to become aggressive? Every child with a disability, whatever it is, if they have behavior issues, there's a trigger to that issue, always. Okay, something triggered them. That could be internal too. It could be something internally, got all caught up and messed up, and they acted upon it. And usually what happens internally is something on the outside happened and it affected them. And a lot of our children are not as verbal as a typical child. So what do? They act out because they don't know how to verbally say, hey, I'm really ticked off because you did this, you know? So you have to put yourself a little bit in their shoes and figure out, why is my child being aggressive? Why is my child being a bully? Okay, my child's not normally a bully. My child's normally loving and kind, and he's so sweet. Why is he doing this? And you need to ask yourself, is he just doing it at school, or is he doing it at home too? And if he is doing it at home, why? Why is he doing it at home and school? Something's triggering him. Something's triggering that behavior, and that's what you need to find out. That's what an FBA will do, and make sure that a behaviorist is doing that evaluation. That's a board-certified behavior analyst. They're the ones who typically do ABA therapy, applied behavior analysis. So a board-certified behavior analyst, a BCBA, is somebody that needs to be doing this FBA. They need to be the ones finding out what this is caused from. So once that happens, once your child who's being aggressive has an FBA, and mom, you need to chime in too and say, hey, I noticed, when I turn on the vacuum, my son becomes very aggressive. Or I noticed that when we're outside at Costco and there's those lights that make noise in Costco, those lights that like come down and they're like kind of loud, but they're not loud to us, but we can hear them. They kind of make that noise. Well, for children with autism, that'll set them off sometimes. So just try to figure out, as mom, what is triggering my child to act like this? Because his behavior is caused by something. Most of us don't just act out because of no reason, okay? So just take you or I. We get angry. We get upset. Something triggered that. Something made us angry. That doesn't mean that we don't know better to not act upon it. But children with special needs and disabilities don't have that always. So they need help. They need assistance. They need a one-on-one. So there's your argument, right? Okay, we figured out what's going on with my child, why they're acting the way they are, that just hypothetically say that they figured out that your son is acting out because of many different triggers, and that's why his behavior is what it is, and say it has to do with his disability, okay? Well, now the school system has to jump in and say, okay, we need to address this so that your son can have academic success, because behavior is one of the #1 things that hinder academic success. And the school system is responsible for your child to have academic success. So if behavior is in the way, that is your argument right there, hands down, okay? You need to provide this, and this for my child, a one-on-one, because his behavior is affecting his learning and his ability to improve and to have academic success. My child needs a one-on-one because his behavior is also a safety issue. And I would hate for the school system to be responsible for my child's safety and him being hurt, or another child being hurt, because they didn't address his behavior and have a one-on-one with him at all times, so that other children are protected, so that your child is protected, and so that he can have academic success. It's a perfect argument and wins most times, but you have to be able to deliver it properly, and you have to have the documentation that your child has had, like an FBA, and is able to, you have that to back it up, basically, okay? You can go get your own FBA by a behaviorist, but why not have the school system pay for it? And they don't have the people within the school system to do an FBA. They don't typically have behaviorists on call. They typically do not have the people that have to do a behavior type evaluation. They don't have them working within the school system. So they have to hire out. So that's great. So that's a great thing for you. So hopefully I answered that question. All right. Hernandez, she says, my son has a school district aide, but they are using her to be the teacher assistant too. Is the aide in the aide paraeducators one-on-one same thing? So is the one-on-one or paraeducator aide, whatever, is that person, is it in your child's IEP to have a one-on-one? That's my first question to you, Hernandez. So yes or no, your child has in his IEP a one-on-one. The next thing she says is that her child's basically aide is also a teacher assistant. So I'm curious, because here's the thing: is if your child has a one-on-one in their IEP, that one-on-one is not allowed to be the teacher's assistant. Not allowed. No way. Okay? Because that one-on-one, if in your child's IEP it says your child has a one-on-one through the day, okay, then that one-on-one has to be with your child at all times. All times. Okay? There's no, let me go help the teacher with this, and this. Because typically, if your child has a one-on-one, the reason they have a one-on-one is either one, because they're not learning effectively and their academic success is not very good and they're needing someone with them at all times so that they can have academic success. But one of the other number one reasons to have a one-on-one is behavior. Behavior is impacting academics. And safety. Anything that has to do with behavior has to do with safety, because behavior is either outward to somebody else or inward to yourself. So it's important to protect both. You have to protect other people's children and you need to protect your child. So a one-on-one is there to make sure that safety is there. And then they're also there so that your child can focus better and they redirect. That's what's in my daughter's IEP. Her one-on-one is specifically there to redirect her for behavior and safety. One-on-ones are not allowed to teach your children, because typically one-on-ones do not have educations, or they'll have a associate's degree or whatever, but they are not teachers. They are not licensed. They are not qualified to teach and educate your child. So that's one thing the school system will get lazy on, is they will have assistants or teachers' aides or whatever teaching your child, and that is not allowed. It is not allowed for teachers' aides or assistants to teach your child academically at all. It's actually against all policies because they have to be highly qualified and trained. You're welcome. You're welcome. So I'm glad I answered your question. So Rachel says, and if the one-on-one is sick, they must provide another aide for them. That's right. They absolutely do. And they're supposed to let you know about it. So if somebody is sick, for example, you have a one-on-one for your child, the school system is supposed to send a letter home to you to let you know. And I'll tell you, typically they will not do this. So I have had it put into my child's IEP. Another thing I've had put into my child's IEP is all her service providers email me once a week on Friday to let me know how my child did all week. And I like this because it holds them accountable for letting me know what's going on. And it's in her IEP. So by law, they have to do it. Okay, and if they don't, then they're non-compliant. And then you make a state report and complaint. And then the school system has to do a ton of paperwork. And they don't like that very much. So Jacqueline says, my daughter's condition causes her to have sensory overload. I have sensory overload sometimes, Jacqueline. What's the best way to handle this in all different settings? Example, going to the grocery store, being around peers and crowds. Should coping mechanisms be a part of my daughter's IEP? Absolutely. Yes, yes, and yes. So coping mechanisms is part of the solution. So in an IEP, it's not they're supposed to do that. It's not just dictatorship. It's not they do this, they do this, they do this, they do this. They provide a one-on-one. They give my child 5 days a week of reading for 1 hour. They this, and this. No, there has to be solutions in there that say, you know, one thing that I would suggest is in the school setting, if your child is having sensory overload, I highly suggest them coming up with a place that's comfortable with maybe a beanbag chair, that she can go and relax and decompress. Okay. How old is your daughter? Would a weighted blanket be something that would be amazing for her? I know a lot of children do well with weighted blankets, and guess what? If it's needed for your child for sensory, the school system has to pay for it. Isn't that cool? Now, getting them to pay for it can be difficult sometimes, but that's an easy thing to obtain, because if your child has sensory issues, that's touch, tactile, that's clothes, that's different things that is setting them off because of sensory overload. It could be what's going on with them. I know my daughter, sometimes more at Costco, because of how big it is, that she will be overwhelmed and have different behaviors manifest from being overloaded. Okay. And so it's important. So a lot of times I'll grab her and I will hold her tight and give her a hug, because sometimes pressure works well for her. And sometimes I'll talk to her really low so that she calms down a little bit because of my tone of voice, because normally I'm loud and, that's just my personality. So I'll tone it down a little bit, and I'll say, "Hey, Sky, what are you up to? Are you okay?" And I'll rub her back, and I'll say, what can I do for you? I'll ask her, so depending on your child's age, if they're babies, and you can hold them. So different things that you can do. But in the school setting, you can request a quiet room, a beanbag chair, a weighted blanket. Also have that at home. You can bring one with you out and about. Bring their favorite toy, their stuffed animal, whatever it is that helps them calm down and decompress is what you need to bring. Who cares what anybody thinks or says? This is about your child and what they need. So you, the mom, know best of what's going to work out best for your child and what your child needs. So hopefully I answered that. I request an IE meeting for my autistic child because he was bullying. Okay, we talked about that one. Hey, Ashley. I keep saying okay, so Humanity First said something about, he said they keep saying stupid and pushing him. I was at his class and I saw he can't communicate well with them because this is the reason, and can't defend himself. Okay. If I'm understanding that correctly, people are making fun of your child in school, and he's not able to communicate effectively to them, is how I'm reading that. Okay, so he can't really defend himself because he's not able to communicate effectively. So what I say to that is that's the school's responsibility to keep your child safe, and that's emotionally and physically. So if you were there and you saw your child being bullied, which that's bullying, then you need to put a letter in writing, an email. You can go check the educational vault for my 8 emails. I definitely have one on if you don't agree with something that the school system's doing, and you want to make sure that you put in detail from the minute you walked in the door to go view him, and you want to put in detail exactly what you observed. You want to put in detail exactly what happened, that you saw children saying mean things to your son, that nothing happened. Did the teacher do anything? So I don't know yet. You didn't put that. So if the teacher didn't do anything, you don't even want to, I'm not even going to say those words here online right now, what I would do. Okay. So what I'm going to say is, instead of flipping out, you literally want to say, I better not, after you say on such and such date, I observed my child and this is what happened. State exactly what happened. Then I would say, I better not ever have that happen again to my child. I better not see that. I better not observe that. I better not hear of it ever occurring again. The school system is responsible for my child during the hours of, and you need to state 9 to 3, whatever the school hours are. And I expect the school system, and name your county, to uphold the highest of standards to keep my child safe emotionally and physically, or I will have to take other measures. There's your key wording right there, guys. So this is important, okay? This is what I want you guys to learn, is the key wording you want to put in emails. Not that you told the story, not that you told them exactly what happened, which that has to happen, but the key wording there was, or you're basically going to leave me no other choice but to take other measures. You know what that does? It leaves them with that great big question mark. Think about it. Just think about it for a second. If you were given, you have to hold the utmost standards, you have to do this, you are responsible for my child's safety, and then all of a sudden, someone leaves you with this great big question mark of, oh, well, what are they going to do if we don't do this? You know, that's the worst place to leave somebody, is the unknown. It drives people nuts, right? So if you leave the school system with, well, if I don't do this, they're going to take other measures. What are those other measures? So then they start thinking, right? This is where you want them, because you want them at the point of, okay, well, what can we do for you? Because they don't know what you're going to do. They're like, well, she said she was going to take other measures. You want the school system in that position because it gives you the one up on them, and it gives you basically, if you're playing this unfortunate game with a bureaucracy and political system, which is what the school system is. Okay. And it's all about money and the bottom dollar and, you know, politics. The administration of all school systems is politics. So that's why us as parents have to advocate so hard. That's a good shirt, wouldn't it? Advocating hard. Because that's what you're fighting, is politics. And you're fighting against money and them having to provide certain things that they may not provide, depending on if you're in a big county, a small county, what they're given for finances as far as to use with special education. There's a lot of factors that go into all of this. And for many of your all's school systems, if they're giving you a really hard time, it could 100% be because they don't have it available. They've never done that before. They've never had a parent like you who came to the table and said, you're going to provide what's needed and appropriate for my child, because by law, you have to. They've never had that before. So they've never had to step up. They've never had to do what's needed and appropriate, what your child deserves, because they've never been made to. So you have to set the standard. And how I look at it is what I'm doing here with Autism Mama Rocks the IEP, or what I do when I consult with other parents, or what I do when I talk to people just every day on the street, or whatever, about things that I do and advocate, and I've worked with kids all my life. It's because I'm passionate about it, but it's also because I'm comfortable being uncomfortable, and I'm also comfortable standing out if it's for what's right. And that doesn't mean I've always done what's right in my life, but it means that I'm super passionate about when it comes to kids, and I'm super passionate when it comes to children with disabilities. And I will fight to the very end for them, because I just have a place in my heart that has just something special for them, because I just think they're all so amazing. And to be quite honest with you, children with special needs and disabilities, I've learned more from my daughter and children with special needs than I have many, many, many adults all my life, because they do things that teach us in such a honest to the core way. You know, they help us think outside the box. You know, I have two typical children who do things, you know, normally, I guess you can say, but really, what's normal? I mean, what is normal these days, you know? But with Skylar, she does things so different. And she has autism, and she's verbal now, but she was nonverbal, but she's still not verbal like myself or you or a typical 14-year-old. And so when I talk to her, takes time, and why is very difficult for her. I don't know if it is for any of your kids, but for her, it's really difficult. It's been something I've fought with her speech therapist, because why is a difficult one. So, but when I talk to her and when I get in depth of how her day was and things that make her mad and the things that she thinks about and remembers is crazy. And she teaches me stuff every day. So try to step back sometimes and really watch your kids and learn from them. And a lot of what you learn, we talked about this the other day about how you need to observe your child. Remember we talked about that the other day? I bet you remember, Rachel, where we talked about where you need to watch your kids when they're sleeping, watch your kids when they're playing, when they're eating, and really take note of what it is that would best help them. All right, between you and I, we're going to use the word best, which you're never going to use in an IEP. So what would best help them when they're eating? What are you thinking about? What goes on in your brain of, if my child had this, then they would this. Think about that. If my child was able to have this, then they would be able to do this. Think about those things, and while your child's sleeping, if you think about it, so many people have said, oh my gosh, my child's such an angel when they're sleeping, right? Well, go watch that angel and think about what's going to best help that angel, okay? Think about what you're going to start requesting in those IEPs. Start writing that down. When on October 3rd, I observed my child sleeping, and these are the things I thought about. If my child had one extra day of speech, I bet she would be able to improve a lot at this, and this. These are the things that she's struggling with. Or, if my child had physical therapy, then she would be able to run straighter, or she would have more muscle tone built. She has low muscle tone. Whatever the case may be, start just thinking about these things. And we're going to put out something for you guys so that you can start writing things down. But you want to put these things in writing because it helps you think better. It helps you remember things that, okay, let me take a step back a second. You know how people say in the shower, that's when they think about the craziest things, and then you get out of the shower and you totally forgot about what you were thinking about? Same thing with this, okay? We think about our kids all the time. We think about things that are going to benefit them. We think about what's best for them. As parents, that's what we do. As caregivers, that's what we do. We want what's best for children, okay? And how they're going to thrive better, how they're going to learn better, all these types of things. So in your thoughts, when you're sitting at the couch and just doing what you do, watching TV, etc., while you're eating, while they're eating, while they're sleeping, just sit and think about all the things that you want for them and write them down. And after a week, look at them all and see what you came up with. And I bet you that you'll be able to build off each and every one of them gradually in getting what's needed and appropriate for your child. Because when you're at your rest, which is like in the shower, when you're sitting down, when you're in the car, whatever, and you get out and you write those things down, you're going to be really surprised at what you see. And at the end of the week, look at those things and build off of them, okay? Build off of them and say to yourself, you got to start speaking, how do you want to say it? The educational lingo. I should probably write something up on that, the lingo that you have to learn. You want to take what you wrote and flip it into, if my child had this, they would be able to do this, which would allow them to have academic success and be able to improve in his academics and reading, math, whatever it may be. So start flipping it to work towards them, because if you can prove that what is needed and appropriate for your child is this because of this, then that's what you need. That's your kind of golden nugget. And as you keep going to IEPs, you're going to learn and you're going to pick up on things and you're going to learn that team. You're going to learn how they work. Watch people, shut your mouths and listen, because you're going to learn so much by just not talking. Okay? Yes, you go around the table. Yes, you go through your concerns and through the IEP. But when they talk is when I mean that you want to stop and listen, because the more you listen, the more you learn. The more you ask questions, the more you learn. And you're remembering to hunt and gather, always. Always hunt and gather. I think I'm going to make you guys a t-shirt that says, Autism Mama, hunt and gather. Because that's my favorite thing. You got to hunt and gather. You got to gather all that information so that you can then get what's needed and appropriate for your child. So I think we've been on here long enough. What is it? An hour and 20 minutes. Holy moly. Thank you a lot. I have a video from last year kicking him and they did nothing. Oh, wow. They blame my son because they say he makes noises and ask him to do, oh goodness. Okay. Rachel, yeah, is it one of the weighted vests? Okay, very cool. All right. So again, go check out the Educational Vault on Autism Mama Rocks the IEP. I'm so excited about what all I have to offer you. And remember, a lot of things are half off until the 31st. And I'm really excited about them. So once you get them, make sure to message me. I want to know what you thought, what you liked best. And if you have any questions or concerns, please make sure to post them, email me, or message me privately. I will talk to you guys soon. And remember, if you are not a member of our group, come hop over on Tuesdays at 8 p.m. We do a live question and answer, which is super fun. And on Thursdays is the content. Today was more short, so we were able to answer some questions, and that was a lot of fun. So I appreciate you guys. I appreciate you sticking with me, and I hope you learn a lot. And post below if you have any questions, and I will make sure to post the website so that you can go check out the Educational Vault and get the things that you want for your kids. I'll talk to you soon. Take care.